Rosecrans, it's where our children all went to high school, all except Gretchen. She, we were in the, lived within the shadow of the public school. So from St. Thomas, 8th grade, we were thinking we would put them all in public school, but so we did the first one, and then from then on we changed our mind back in the private school system. So this is where they all went to school.
Ice cream bowl, we spent a lot of time down here when the kids were young, but they were much cheaper to bring because they were always satisfied with cones. Now they all want hot fudge sundaes, which are kind of expensive. Yeah, with nuts.
This was my first job at Tom's Ice Cream Bowl. I got the job when I was 16. And, made a whole $1.14 an hour.
And this is Carolyn speaking. So this is our front porch that we spend a lot of time on, always have.
This is our 4th Avenue house.
Right. And we sit here every early morning and almost every night and wave to all the people, and they go by and people know we sit there, so they look for us. If I don't want to see them, I hide behind the flowers. But it's a porch that we really enjoyed all our lives. Okay, this is the hall, and when we first moved in, we didn't have hardly any furniture from our little house on Oakwood, so this had nothing in it.
Except
so,
for a basketball court.
Mark, yes, if you want to close the door. So we allowed the boys to have a basketball hoop. They had a small hoop here, and this was their court, and they had taped it off on the floor the way that it's supposed to be for.
And this lamp has been knocked over millions of times.
I never knocked it over though.
I believe you.
And our neighbor next door said to us one day, we look over and say, could you believe they allow their children to play basketball inside their house? But we did. And
Well, that closet wasn't there then. I put that in later.
that's true. So it gave it a little more square room, no furniture here. Made a pretty nice court.
Well, what surprised me, I think the window only got broken once
Uh-huh.
that I can recall.
And these scratches are our dog Sandy. She always had long nails because she didn't like them cut. She freaked so much that even the vet didn't like to cut them, so we left them long and she scratched the door. And these are pictures of each one of our kids when they were graduating from college. That's their graduation picture from college.
And then these are all of our nieces, my nieces and nephews, mom and dad's grandchildren on that wall.
The picture of Tom and me, we didn't really want it. Gretchen and Tom were junior and senior in high school, and they talked us into getting that picture taken. We didn't really want to do it, and they paid for it. And I'm glad because I didn't have any wrinkles then. I didn't think about that. These are our 9 grandchildren. This is Tom's son Brian, Tom's daughter Katie, Paul's son Andrew, Paul's son Joe, Charlie's daughter Samantha, Charlie's daughter Emma, Charlie's daughter Abby, and Francie's son Thomas, and daughter Marie. This is the living room, which we've always just loved because it was so big and we didn't feel crowded after the small house. I'll show a few of the antique things that are belong in the family. This mirror is one. It was in my grandfather Weber's home in the 1800s and early 1900s, and I inherited that. This is Weller pottery that we inherited from Aunt Francie, Tom's sister. And this is the crucifix that was on Grandma Quinn, Tom's mother's casket, and he kept it. And let's see if that's any other antique things. This is a mirror over here that belonged to Dorothy Quinn, my sister-in-law, her mother's home, and that also was probably early 1900s. So these black lamps were, there's one there and one over here. There were a pair from my mother's home, and they were Chinese. I always can't pronounce it right. Colors. That's how the Chinese built up the pattern by layer after layer, and there's a coliseum. I can't remember. This I inherited from my Aunt Kay, and it's a Japanese pillow from the Orient, and they actually slept on it like this, and she had it made and put their neck on there, real comfy. So she had it made into a lamp. This is a table out of my grandmother and grandfather Weber's home in the 1800s, early 1900s. This is my grandfather Weber's law degree. He was an attorney, and he was a judge for the Tri-County area. They were raised, my dad was raised in McConnellsville, but when his dad became judge, they had moved to Zanesville. And so
The couch was from Aunt Francie's.
right. Oh, this letter set was given to me. My Aunt Margaret lived in England, and she married one of the Barings of the Baring Banks over there. And she told me the story of when royalty would get broke, they would take it to the Bank of England. They would take things out of their home or their summer homes, and they would bring them to the bank, and people that just wanted to buy it to have something from King's home would buy it. And this was Louis XIV had sold that at the Baring Bank, and one of the Barings had bought it, and it's a letter set, and I inherited it. The candlesticks came from a church in New York that my brother-in-law, Rudy Antonette's mother, was sacristan, and they gave them to her for a gift, and she passed them on to me. Should we do the bathroom? The bathroom, we always just had one bathroom upstairs, and after all the kids are gone, this year we finally got a downstairs bathroom. I didn't really want it off the living room, but there wasn't anywhere else to put it, and I think he did a wonderful job of making it look nice without ruining the living room. So this is the bathroom. We have a nice tile shower, and it's for our old age. We have the washer and dryer up here. We don't have to go down the basement anymore, and we're pretty excited. When we very first got it, I'll flip this switch. When we very first got the downstairs bathroom, we kept forgetting and going upstairs to go to the bathroom because we were just so used to it, because we lived here 45 years that way. So it was quite a different for us. So we love it now that we're used to it.
Yeah, when we were kids, we lived down on 5th Street, and of course we only had one bathroom, and there were 7 of us, just like there were 7 of our kids now. And my brother Paul said once, you know, we were talking about the situation down on 5th Street, and we talked about having one bathroom with 9 people. And he said, I don't know how we did that, do you? He said, I just can't imagine that. I said, hello, Paul. We're doing it right now. And he looked at me and said, oh, yeah, okay.
And this is a marble top out of the McGinnis house, which is my great-grandparents. And I inherited that, and I treasure that a lot. I'm going to, you want to look at the pictures? This is Tom's mother when she was young. Anne McGonigal Quinn, Anna. Actually, her name was Anna Francis, and she married Tom's dad, whose name was Andrew Francis. So it was kind of different. And this is Tom when he was little. This is our Aunt Kay, my dad's only sister. That she was very close to all our family. She was a teacher, phys ed teacher at Zanesville High here, and then later went to California and retired from there. This is my grandmother Weber with her oldest son Jim. This is Tom's mother and dad on their wedding day. And this is me, and that's my sister, Ursula. This is our dining room. This is me when I was 5. And I remember my mother had a photographer come down from Columbus to take, or the 3 of us, to take our pictures. I had a sister Ursula and my younger brother Bill, and we always called him Willie. And we waited so long, it was such a trip to come from Columbus at that time, that by the time they came, I used to have long curls. It was my hair had gotten all mussed up, and my mother had given him up, and she just put some pins in my hair like that, and they took the picture, and always kind of liked it better than probably if I'd have had the curls. This is our son Charlie and his wife Ann, Samantha, Emma, and Abby. And that's Abby again. He is our 3rd son, and he is an engineer at General Motors in Michigan. And when he went up there, he changed from Charlie to Chuck somehow. So I still revert back to Charlie, but everybody else calls him Chuck. This is a picture of Good Samaritan Hospital. And my grandfather was Dr. Henry Thomas Sutton, and he was the founding physician of that hospital. I'm sorry that it's a little bit crooked in there. I think the kids dropped it a couple times. And Dad, do you want to tell about your daughter or not?
This is, I'm very proud of that. That's my Bishop's Award that was given to me in 1999. Father Mike D. Temple nominated me for this award, and somewhere I have a video of the award presentation from the bishop. This is was given to me by one of the priests at St. Thomas in appreciation for what I did for them. I was sacristan there for about 15 years. I still do it on a kind of a couple days a week basis, but in that 15 years I did it all. I opened the church every morning, got ready for Mass. I served all the funerals. I did it 7 days a week. I gave up a lot of things I wanted to do so I could be a sacristan at St. Thomas. But I've decided I'm going to cut back a little bit now, and I'm not going to do that anymore. If I want to do something, I'm going to do it.
This is a quilt that Gretchen put together and for our 50th wedding anniversary. And each one of the kids had 2 blocks. If you had children, then you had 2 blocks. So this is Charlie's or Chuck's, and this is the state of Ohio, and that's Michigan where he lives. And we used to have a grass contest about who had the greenest grass. It was always over the phone, and we both lied a lot, so we never knew. But he did mine real yellow, and he made his real green. And he was a guitar player, and he did his engineering, what's the word?
Can't think.
When you're going through engineering and you co-op it.
Co-op, that's it.
At Armco, and he played guitar, and he plays the piano, and his children play the piano, and his wife does kickbox, and they're all readers. And I said, "What's that?" Sammy just liked it. Nothing. This is their baby, for their baby. And this was Charlie's other square, and it's his 3 children with Charlie and Ann in the middle. And this is Carolyn Square, and that's her high school picture. And the reason that's her birth date. The reason she put that in was because October 24th is also our wedding date. And she always said that she was the most wonderful gift we ever received on our anniversary. We didn't necessarily say that, but she did, and we didn't disagree. And this is both of our high school graduation pictures. Gretchen chose to put those in. We didn't get married out of high school. Actually, Tom was 25 and I was 21. He turned 26 later that month, so she did that. This is Joe and Andy. Paul's made that for his children's square, and he made this for his square. And he painted that on Notre Dame because Paul's a big football freak, and he knows Dad likes football, Notre Dame, so he did that. This is Gretchen's other square, and that's a picture of she and Jeff the day they got married. And we always had coffee together. We like flowers together and animals. So they had animals. 3 dogs and 2 cats. We didn't. And this is Tom's square, and those are his profiles that Brian, his oldest son, did that. There's Tom, Susan, Brian, and Katie. And then they drew this tree, symbolizing the tree of life. Tom's the oldest male. Susan and I have flowers in common. Brian's a guitarist. And Katie does plays. And here's symbolizes God. And they're so ingenious, they wove their names in these little barks of the tree. If you look close, you can tell. This is Francie's square. And she's a medical dietitian for Ross Labs, and she would go for a research study at Canada, and she would take me with her, and I would keep her company driving up, and Ross would pay for our room, so I only had to pay for our food. This is the Canadian symbol and the American. She's very strong in her religion. There's her name, and here's Ken is a golfer. Her husband is a very good golfer, so that's his. And the kid said, "Why did Francie do the sewing thing? She never sewed." And I said, "I did all her sewing for her. I guess that was why." And this is her children's, and Marie drew this when she was probably about 4, and Spot was her favorite stuffed animal. And that's Marie's. And Thomas loves math and does very well in math, so he wanted to do math problems. And Patrick Square is here, and that's was my favorite picture of him when he was little. I think it was kindergarten or first grade. His favorite group is Kiss, and we got Sandy the dog for Pat when he was little, so Sandy was his dog. I always wanted to picture the house, and I always talked about Charlie painting the picture, so he did this oil for a surprise for me, and did the house from memory, because he was in Michigan. This was Aunt Kay's car I had inherited, and we had it. There's Sandy out on the black line, and there's our old garage. Gretchen used to live next door, Gretchen and Jeff, and that was a little bit of their house, but they didn't live there when we painted. And that garage is different, but. And this is a bash picture of us all singing in the bash, and we'll talk more about Nami and the bash later. This is my pattern that I selected when I was a bride, and I still have those pieces. And this is the picture. The grandchildren, I think, knocked it off and broke it, but we can still tell what it is. This is Paul's wedding. Is it too small to get, do you think?
It's in there.
So there's Tom, Pat, Paul, and Chuck.
Okay.
Whose picture is in my house a lot is just who happened to have the pictures there, and it happened to get hung, so there's no real preferences to children or relatives that didn't happen to get there. It's the child that put the picture and hung it usually got there. Okay, we'll go upstairs.
Okay.
This is a closet that Tom built. He was very handy. He built a lot of things into our house that we needed. Oh, we didn't go in the kitchen. Our kitchen's very small, so I guess I forgot about it. But I've always loved it. Besides that, you kind of trampled on children as you were cooking. Besides that, it was really handy because you could just go right from one to the other, and it really made it pretty handy. But it also made it pretty crowded. This on the little shelf there is, Tom and I are very proud of that. We received the Bob and Dolores Hope Good Samaritan Award for our work in hospice. We were given that by the community, and we're very proud of that.
When the kids were small, this was not here, the refrigerator sat over there, and we had a table here, and I had built benches along the wall, so we all ate our dinner here. And we had a couple of chairs here for us adults. But it worked very well for a while until they got too big to get in there, so we had to change things. Margaret Ann's cousin, Dorothy Roach, gave us this table, which is a little larger than the normal dining room table. And this buffet was a companion match for it. So we were very grateful to get that because we could set all the kids around it and room for us too.
And this silver, I think it's actually a hot chocolate dish with the cream and sugar, and the other round piece was to put in coffee grounds or tea bags so that it wasn't unsightly when you took them out. They belonged to my great-grandmother and grandfather McGinnis, and it was originally an 11-piece set, but it's been divided up in the family. Some family members have the tray, and some have the big coffee urn, but they entertained a lot, and they had that. They had a beautiful home in Putnam, and they had 10 children, and he was an attorney, and he came up from Perry County to Zanesville when he was a young attorney, and there was a lot of stigma against the Irish at that time. So his name was MC, capital Ginnis, but he changed the spelling to Magnis so that he wouldn't seem so Irish, and became a very prominent attorney and a very prominent community person, and built a whole block at the corner of 5th and Main called the McGinnis Block. So